Hello, and welcome to the Graphics Profiles, the official podcast of Graphics Pro and Graphics Pro Expo, covering the graphics market online, in print, and in person. I'm your host, Regan Dickinson. Our guest for episode 41 is Travis Ross, owner of Make Your Mark Design in Broomfield, Colorado, a full-service print-on-demand fulfillment service. Travis also co-hosts the Print on Demand Cast, or podcast, a weekly show he broadcasts with fellow print aficionado Josiah Cifuentes. Before we find out how Travis and his team make their mark, we'll talk to Henry Cohen, Global Sales Manager, Graphic Imaging for Hicks Corporation, the sponsor of this episode. Hey, it's great to talk to you again, Henry. Last time, which was episode 38 in July, in case you'd like to go find it in our archives, we talked about drinkware, but today I want to talk about large format heat presses and specifically the Hicks Corporation LF4464 series. So if I'm looking at a big piece of equipment like this, what are my potential best-selling applications?
Well, most customers who want a large format press want it for garments, all over printing, specifically garments with long sleeves that require a large surface and that require the entire surface to be printed all at once, so that the result is one continuous picture, both on the front and the back, going from the front to the back, rather than, say, the cut and sew applications, where you cut the individual pieces, sublimate them individually, and then assemble them for the finished garment.
So
you have interruptions at every seam. With a large format all over print, you don't have that interruption. You have just one continuous design, which is the attraction of this particular application.
Okay, that's a great application too. So, what other types of applications are you seeing being used with the large format heat presses? And obviously a wide variety of applications, from garments to signage, just about anything that you could put in that size. Is that correct?
Yes, you mentioned signage. That is a market all in itself. For that, you have aluminum plates that are not susceptible to ultraviolet radiation, so that they can be used outside without fading. Also, I've seen applications like tiles for murals and shower stalls that need a large format to print not just the individual little tiles, but the one design all at once on a whole puzzle of tiles altogether. So you can apply a transfer to many applications, and a large format press allows you to just go in many different directions, each of them being a separate business altogether. So yes, a wide variety of applications.
Okay, and where can our audience go to find out more about the large format heat presses?
Well, they can go to our website. The site is HIXcorp.com. Everything is in the catalog. Just go to the homepage, click on the catalog, or they can just navigate to the large format, the LF4464, to find the individual details on that press.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again for your time today. It was great to talk to you again.
Thank you.
And we're back with Travis Ross of Make Your Mark Design in Broomfield, Colorado. Hey, Travis, it's good to have you on the show. And just how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, we appreciate it. I always like to start with your background, how you got started and how the business has evolved. There's always, to me, there's always an interesting story involved there. So can you kind of give me a brief backgrounder on that?
Sure. The company's it existed since 2012, but it's gone through several iterations. It started as a marketing company. I helped people with YouTube videos and things like that. That didn't work. I sat on the company for a while. And then at one point, I started buying and selling products to sell on Amazon. And so I was, doing everything, from going to Walmarts and Sam's Clubs and, buying things off the shelves to ordering them online to shipping from China and rebranding them. But as I was doing that, I was, building a pretty large business in that space. and we started doing a conference here in Denver called the Reseller Conference, or the Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference. And so the second year we were doing that conference, I overheard in the bar area, after hours, somebody talking about sublimating coffee mugs in their basement. And I got intrigued and I started researching it. And I converted an inkjet printer to use sublimation mugs, bought a couple of cheap presses, and started creating listings on Amazon with art that I already had been using for their Merch by Amazon account, which and Merch by Amazon, they don't sell coffee mugs. So, since I had, experience creating listings, I just started doing that. And that has just really, really exploded into now we fulfill for other people that are selling on Amazon and Walmart and all these other places. And we have, a full print facility. I don't do any of the arbitrage or any of the, white labeling of products anymore. We're fulfilling, and then we're doing local, business for different clients in the promotional products space.
Okay. So you're part e-commerce and part local business. It sounds like kind of a hybrid operation. Yeah. Is that how you would term that?
Yeah, totally. I would say a majority of our business is still fulfillment because that's kind of how we got started. And our biggest clients are fulfillment. But since we landed, actually, we have a shop in Broomfield, Colorado, and we've been here almost 2 years now. And since we kind of planted our Google flag, we've seen a lot of local businesses reach out to us and, ask if we can do X, Y, or Z for them. And so that part of our business has really grown over the last couple of years since we've been here.
Yeah. It sounds like corporate gifts, personalized products. Is that how you would characterize what y'all are doing there?
Yeah, mainly. We have 6 different printing methods. So we have sublimation, mm-hmm. We have DTG, we have embroidery, we have vinyl, we have laser engraving, and we have UV printing. And so, lots of different products can be decorated in a lot of different ways. And so we have some unique products too. I think that's kind of what really sets us apart from a fulfillment standpoint. If I'm going to sell on Amazon or Walmart and I have this one piece of art, all of a sudden I have, 100 different products I can put it on, and it's all under the same roof. I don't have to go to this vendor for this thing, this other vendor for this thing.
So do y'all literally handle hundreds of different product types?
Yeah, I think our catalog right now for stocked items is right in the 90s. I think we're at like 94, 95 products. And we try to continue to add them, because it's just an additional source of revenue if we can get that out in front of our clients and say, hey, have you thought about this product? So we have some, unique products that, we're obviously a small shop. There are many, many companies out there doing fulfillment, and really huge companies that are getting, injections of millions of dollars of capital. They're really technology companies that happen to do fulfillment. Unfortunately, I don't have millions of dollars, so we are just a fulfillment company. Yeah. But because of that, we have a lot of flexibility. We're a lot more nimble than I think some of those larger companies are, and therefore can offer, somewhat unique products.
So given all that and your experience with that, what is your best advice for a shop out there, for someone who would like to have an e-commerce component to their business? Not necessarily that they're going to go full bore into fulfillment, mm-hmm. and so on and so forth, but they want to be able to provide that to their customers, maybe to a more corporate customer, even from a fulfillment standpoint. They want to add e-commerce. What's your best advice to someone who wants to do that?
Well, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. You could theoretically approach people who are already selling on, Amazon or Walmart or Etsy, and offer to, help them get on those platforms. A perhaps lower hanging fruit would be to use some of these print companies like Inksoft, Printavo, Deco Network. These platforms come kind of out of the box with these web stores. You can take these web stores and kind of create a system to where, all of a sudden I'm reaching out to an Instagram influencer who has, 10,000 people that, follow them. And have you ever thought about selling t-shirts or selling, product XYZ? We can do that for you. We'll build the site for you. We'll do everything for you. All you have to do is just point the people to us, and it goes right into your workflow because you're already using that software for maybe your local orders. We do that with a lot of our clients. They just literally, there's a guy here in Colorado who he's an online meteorologist and he has like tens of thousands of followers on Facebook, and he just reports the weather, but people absolutely love him. He gets thousands of shares when he just reports the weather. And so we approached him. We said, hey, let's take some of your kind of quirky sayings. Let's put them on some t-shirts. And he's sold, a lot of things. And so we basically charge him at the end of the month. We give him the difference of what he's upcharging, the customers, and, and you just rinse and repeat that. And you can kind of build a pretty large catalog by just doing some simple reaching out to these influencers. It's a really cool business model. I think a lot of people are doing that now in the name, image, likeness area. They're reaching out to sports, college athletes and things like that, trying to get them on board. But you have kind of, if you're already a print shop, you probably have some type of web store that you could offer, and you could use that as kind of a bridge into e-commerce.
What are some processes that you put in place to create efficiencies and make sure that you have quality? Because those, to me, those are two of the big components of doing it right. And that is to make sure you have consistent quality, and that when you say you're going to do something, that you do it on time.
Yeah, we use Deco Network here. That's helped us a lot with some of our scheduling from our local orders, but then we also have the e-commerce side of that. And that's helped us with kind of not drop the ball as far as like quality consistencies. We have somebody else packing the product that made the product. And so there's kind of a second QC check before it goes out the door if something's wrong, or if, maybe a print file got messed up. Maybe the tech didn't notice it, but perhaps the shipping person will. I mean, that doesn't work 100% of the time, but it does catch some of those issues before they go out the door and, make us look bad to our clients. But I would say like some of the major efficiencies, even in our business, because we also sell on Amazon and do these things, are just kind of some of your SKU structures and how you hold your art. Based on those SKUs, we have like tens of thousands of pieces of art. And so trying to organize that, when you're first starting out, maybe you only have 100 or 150 or 200 or whatever, but you get to tens of thousands of pieces of art, you have to have some type of a system. And we've, basically created what we call design IDs. And then that design ID can go in a different product. And we've used our SKUs to kind of inform everything that is like it'll have a DID, which is the actual art. And then it'll have a product code and maybe a size code and a color code and, maybe a date that it was actually created, that listing on whatever platform it's on. And so every time that sells across all the different platforms, it's the same SKU, which is then tied to an art file, which is also organized by those DIDs. And it's very easy. It's not like, green nurse, design with syringe, .jpeg or PNG or whatever, Right. So I mean, some of that stuff has helped us, diving into that and really trying to get into the weeds with that workflow from the order comes in to it gets to the tech. Because with print on demand, it's different. With printing, it's different because these products don't technically exist until they're actually printed.
Right.
So it's kind of different. You have to, the SKU has to actually inform what the actual final product is, as opposed to just go to bin 4 on row 3 and pick it out of the bin and ship it. You have to actually make it. So there's some efficiencies that we've had to kind of learn the hard way, but we're getting through it.
Okay. I want to talk about, speaking of processes, one of the things I didn't ask you, you said you have 6 different types of printing technologies. What about on the finishing side? Do you have heat presses? Do you laminate? What do you have finishing wise there?
We're not doing any laminating. We're not really doing anything paper wise with printing. It's all going to be, apparel, drinkware, home goods, things like that. We have, and that we're using right now, I think we have 4 heat presses, like 16 by 20. We don't have anything too large. So most of we're not doing anything large format. Most of what, like when people ask me what type of products we do, I say giftable products.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So, it's a coffee mug, it's a t-shirt, it's an embroidered hat, it's a laser engraved water bottle, it's a UV sign, things of that nature.
That's right. You have engravers too.
Yeah.
Well, what is the most unusual product that you sell? And maybe I shouldn't ask that question.
I'm trying to think.
I don't want to go somewhere weird, but
yeah. I mean, we've printed some pretty interesting sayings on t-shirts. Let's put it that way, and we'll leave it at that. But
right.
But yeah, I mean, I think one of the coolest products that we introduced in the last year are these UV signs. So we take a piece of melamine, we UV the customer's image, whatever. It could be a picture, it could be a saying, live, laugh, love. I don't care what it is. Mm-hmm. And then we have a partner that creates these wooden frames for us and stains them. And then we've just got a nail gun. We assemble and pop those, the frame on there, and it creates kind of this real Etsy-ish looking sign. And it does really well for our clients that sell on Etsy. We do like a 6x6, a 12x12, a 14x17, wooden sign. And that UV printing is like, it's crystal clear. You put a photograph on there and you can't tell, that it's printed on melamine. It looks gorgeous. Yeah. And it's really cool. So that's probably one of my favorite products that we have. And it does pretty well.
Right. So when you do add a new print process, because this is something, it sounds like you had one type of printer and then you're like, I see a market for this. And that would be my assumption, that you see a market and you find a print process or an engraving process, whatever the process is that's embellishing. How do you make that decision? How do you decide to add new equipment? What goes in that capital equipment decision for you?
Well, efficiency is number one. So we were using when we first started DTG, we were using more of a consumer grade, I guess, product. The problem is that it takes, 3 to 4 minutes to do a really full color image, because it's got to do the white and then do the color. Right. And so when the new F3070s came out, Epson's, I don't know, just the next level, those things will do it in under 60 seconds. Right. And so that was, so efficiency is a big part of what I look at. I always want to try to make sure that, where's the bottleneck and how can we solve it with equipment purchases. Right. But at the same time, I mean, I'd have to just admit it's kind of willy-nilly. It's like, if I see something and I'm like, ooh, that's really cool, can I justify it?
Yeah. But obviously behind that, you're seeing some opportunity for a market there. In other words, like you mentioned with the sign panels, the UV printing does something special there for you. Right. Right. So obviously there was an opportunity, perhaps different from a need, because sometimes you buy capital equipment. Like you said, the bottleneck sounds like we really have a need to get rid of this bottleneck, but sometimes you have an opportunity as opposed to a need. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I would say that's accurate. I think, for us particularly, 6 print process is a lot to manage. And so I'm not necessarily looking and I also feel like the opportunity with having 6 print processes is a lot larger than someone that has one, as far as like expansion into new products. Right. I mean, those UV machines can do a whole lot that we're not doing yet. And so I personally, at this point in our business, I would rather spend the time in R&D trying to come up with new ideas, new blanks that we can get in to, say, hey, in fact, we did a whole R&D thing where we printed on 12 or 15 different items and priced them all out and got all of the information and then sent them to our biggest client and said, hey, do you want to move forward with any of these at these prices? And I feel like that's a better use of our existing technology than potentially adding another one. If I were to add another one, it'd probably be like a poster printer, because I know that there's a lot of margin there in posters. You can sell a poster for $25, $30, and maybe you have $4 in it,
Right. Yeah.
So that would be something that I might entertain, but right now I'm pretty maxed out on space too. So that's another consideration that it has to factor into the equation.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate your time today, and thanks for sharing your experience and your business with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun. If you can't tell, I really like talking. So this was fun.
Hey, I like listening, so I think we're good there.
Thanks, man.
Thanks again, Travis. Thanks again to our guest, Travis Ross, and to our sponsor, Hicks Corporation. You can find Travis and Make Your Mark Design at makeyourmark.design. The podcast at anchor.fm/print-on-demand-cast. And on Facebook at printondemandcast.com/Facebook. Check out our sponsor's website at hickscorp.com. That's HIXCORP.com. If you're looking for perspectives, education, tips, tricks, news, videos, and more, all focused on your business and connecting you to experts in the field, your peers, suppliers, and manufacturers, go to graphics-pro.com. And for convenient regional events catering to graphics professionals across America, check out graphics-pro-expo.com. And you can find this podcast at your favorite platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or SoundCloud. You can also browse the archives at graphics-pro.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, adios, amigos.